One second.
Okay.
Krista Smith, Vanity Fair, year after year, we Oscar pundits get surprised. Now, I'm tired of being surprised on what wins Best Picture. What is really going to win this year and why? What do you say?
Well, I think at this point, it's going to be The Shape of Water and it's going to be Guillermo del Toro. I forever, as you know, on my Gold Derby had Dunkirk because I was convinced since July that Dunkirk was going to win and it's a perfect film. And I was so blown away by it. But I think, you know, down the line, we're kind of seeing the way things are going. And I think watching Shape of Water again, I think it really hits all the notes. It's a full realized story. It's so original. And Guillermo has been, you know, he's a master. Every single one of his films is good for different reasons, but it's always original. And I think because it got so many nominations across the board that to me, that will probably win.
Well, wasn't that the argument for La La Land last year?
But I want to have on the record, I did live on television. I said, watch out for Moonlight. But yeah, I mean, I think that really, I guess it would be Three Billboards, you know, would be the one that might take it. But I feel like Shape of Water is pretty solid. But what do you think?
Well, it's this preferential ballot. I don't know what to think, basically.
Oh, right.
This preferential ballot keeps fooling us because really the movie with the most number 2, 3 votes and all that tends to win. So go back to Dunkirk in a second. I could see a scenario where Dunkirk wins, that Shape of Water doesn't get the male vote, and Three Billboards is too divisive. It's either your number 1 vote or your number 5 vote, that kind of thing. And this ranking throws everything off. So the question is, what's everyone's number 2 vote? Is it Lady Bird because it has such a strong, emotional, positive energy? Lady Bird is to some extent like Moonlight last year. It's about some disenfranchised youth, the angst of youth feel, and it taps into that. Or is it Dunkirk because that's everybody's number 2 vote? It was consistently the number 1 vote at Gold Derby and hung on a long time as the other movies started getting seen by us. So,
or is it Get Out?
Correct. Good point.
You know, could that really come in? All the new young voters, could Get Out be number 2 or 3? Because if you look at that, look how many nominations Get Out has.
Yeah, I could see a case for all of them. So that said, would you stick with Three Billboards as your number 2 or Dunkirk as your number 2? Or what do you think?
I mean, I'm not a member of the Academy.
I know. but to terrify them, however.
But I would say that as an emotional voter, my number 2 would still be Dunkirk because I just felt like that movie showed you what war was like. Even though you didn't attach yourself to one particular character, you attach yourself to all of them at the same time, which is what I really loved about it. And having full personal disclosure, as a kid, I watched every World War II movie with my father because he was in the military and in 3 wars, actually, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. So I have seen every film in that genre, and I thought that Dunkirk was the top. I really did. So emotionally, I would go into it and make it my number 2.
Okay, so the movie that used to win Best Picture used to win an acting award too, and it was almost always guaranteed.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily happening anymore, but let's say it is. Let's say the old rules are back this year and apply, and Shape of Water wins Best Picture. Does that carry Sally Hawkins to a win? Is that's where the acting win comes? Or is this one of those exceptions where no, it's Frances McDormand and all the experts are right and nobody could take her down?
I think that the Best Actress race is a lot tighter than anybody's been, that anybody thinks, right? Obviously Frances is pretty clearly getting every one of the nods along the way, but I think Oscars are very tricky that way. And you could get a Saoirse Ronan. A lot of people feel very strongly about that. This is her 3rd nominee. You have an Irish actress with a thick Irish brogue playing an American teenager so beautifully and believably.
And she's the ingenue, too. They love the ingenue.
And she's exactly right. They love the young talent coming up through the ranks. Also, Fran has won before. Saoirse never has. And, suddenly Sally Hawkins, no one can debate Sally Hawkins' talent. She was great in everything she's been leading up to this point. So, again, are a lot of people going to check the box for Sally? So I don't think it's so set for Frances. I think it's a tighter race than we think. I don't think Meryl's in it. The Post to me seemed to lose some steam. I don't think this is going to be her year. She was brilliant in it, I have to say, as Kate Graham, but I just don't think it's hers. And I think Margot Robbie, as good as she is, was probably more, the nomination was the reward for, we think you're great and you're part of the club now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Best Actor. Is it Gary Oldman automatically?
I kind of feel that way. I'd be curious about your thoughts. I kind of feel that, he's really good. He was great in Taylor Tinker Spy several years ago. He is fantastic in a really good movie about history that's also kind of inspiring and informative at the same time. But I am surprised that Kristen Scott Thomas didn't get a nominee. He kind of was the only one that was singled out. And who would give him a run for his money? I don't know. Daniel Day-Lewis, are they going to give it to him again? Probably not. But that movie also got a lot of nominations.
You and I are both on the ground here in Hollywood, Krista. Timothy Chalamet is everywhere. He is charming this town. It's kind of like the Eddie Redmayne ground.
Exactly. I mean, he could be, he could, if you ask me, I would have to say that I think Timothy could be the upset. I don't think it would be Denzel or Daniel Day-Lewis or David. I think it would really come from Timothée, I think is how I'm supposed to say it, but Timothy Chalamet.
So the supporting races are where the upsets always happen. We saw it last year with Mark Rylance. The man did not campaign at all. I mean, it was right out of the blue.
Invisible. He wasn't even here until the day. Yeah.
I know. And it's an understated performance that didn't do well in other categories. It was nominated for Best Picture. Anyway, broke all the rules and humbled us once again. So that said, let's start with supporting actor. Everyone's saying, oh, Sam Rockwell. But, we've got this veteran in there named Christopher Plummer. He won before, but they like to give out 2 in that supporting category. Especially to the veterans. The backstory, of course, is so compelling in his case, how he came to the rescue of that movie and to Hollywood at a time when the big studios needed him. So what happens in that race?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the fact that he did all of that, like, hey, I'm going to do this movie out of nowhere, 2 weeks. It's just such a great Hollywood story. And he's Georg. I mean, come on, Sound of Music. It's like he is, Captain Von Trapp at the end of the day. I mean, he's a legend. But I think Sam Rockwell, who has, 100 movies on his IMDb page. I mean, he has been out there. He's been working. He's been in commercial movies and little tiny independent movies. He's beloved by his community. And this is his shot and the closest he's ever come. So I do feel like he's got this. Especially if there's a little bit of a shakeup in the Best Actress category. This is a really solid way to reward that film.
Do you buy the occasional buzz you hear that, there's a 3 Billboards backlash? I don't believe there is any backlash akin to what we heard last year with La La Land. You could feel it. La La was so far off from it for so long and was so kind of campy and gloriously campy at that it was vulnerable to lampooning and targeting. And you could feel the backlash last year. This year, I think when people say backlash on Billboards, I think it's simply because it's so divisive. It's love it or hate it, but yet I still feel that most people really love it. And if they don't love it, they admire it. That said, the backlash factor is, if it is real, is completely contradictory this year, because if there is a backlash against the film, why are we saying that 2 of its stars are ahead in the acting categories? Or what do you buy about the whole Billboards backlash baloney?
I don't know. I mean, listen, Martin McDonagh is, to me, he's just so talented. His script is just, he's so good. Queen of Lanai, all the movies that have come before. In this movie, it was like a sweet spot with Fran McDormand, especially in this role. You know, I feel like unlike La La Land, which was an examination of Hollywood itself, I think that invited a bigger backlash. It was like, look at you, oh, look at Hollywood. I don't get the movie. You know, people would see it later. I don't get the hype and whatnot. So I don't feel like there's going to be the same backlash for something like Three Billboards, because I think Fran McDormand doesn't have any backlash. I don't think Sam Rockwell has any. These are journeyman actors that are consistently good, very well respected, as is Martin. And the fact that he didn't get the director nom kind of takes it down a notch already.
But Three Billboards overperformed everywhere else, from SAG to Globes, etc. So I'm
shocking. I have to say, I was shocked that it got so much love.
Yeah. And yeah, considering how divisive it might seem, but I don't know what to make of it. I'm sticking with it as my best picture prediction. I'm really gutsy.
Oh, good. I love it.
And the reason I'm doing it is I see, this sounds cruel to say, but I'm not sure I see such a compelling reason to vote for The Shape of Water. If you're emotionally invested in the movies you're voting for as a member of the Academy, I see a really wonderfully, beautifully done. And I was there, you may have been there too, with the premiere in Toronto at the film festival, and it was electric. The room exploded. It was just magical. It was wonderful. The reception the film got, and certainly deserved, and absolutely will deserve Best Picture if it wins. But people are selfish, and I see that throughout my career as a journalist, people love to channel their inner rage and cry against injustice. And boy, Three Billboards does that so well. That's the selfish nerve that movie touches. So, for example, the other day I asked an Academy member, what's going to win Best Picture? And he said, Shape of Water is going to win. And I said, what's your vote? And he went, oh, I'm voting for Three Billboards. And he said, but Three Billboards can't win. It was just the same thing you hear from the pundits all the time. So I don't buy any of that. But so I'm going to say,
I also think that something that Three Billboards has, it is a super strong female narrative. And obviously Sally Hawkins is very good, but it's more of a complex story involved in The Shape of Water, right? But there's something undeniable about Fran McDormand's performance as that character, a woman on a mission, the rage, the injustice behind it, demanding, going to all lengths to find solutions, and basically taking on the men in her community. And I think if we look at about what's been happening in our own community, that is where you check the box. You definitely would be like, yep, this is great. This is sending a larger message.
So supporting actress now, where do you stand?
Well, obviously it would be Allison Janney, right? Because we go with that theory. She's been on. But this is where I could see Laurie Metcalf coming in and snagging it for Lady Bird. I think this could be her moment and the moment for the movie.
Right, because there are certain patterns in Oscar voting, which is that they like to take care of movies in one category or another, and that's maybe where the Lady Bird vote goes if it doesn't win screenplay. I see that. And also, again, this has to do with us on the ground seeing things that a lot of people don't see, of course, who are watching this video and are just Oscar fans beyond the city limits here. And that is Allison Janney is always everywhere. She's the most veteran belonger. She is a campaigner. She is just visible everywhere. Me and my editors run into her every 10 minutes in this town.
And Tom, she's on television. And, you know, Mom is syndicated, and she's also once a week she's on TV too. So she's in everybody. She's on everybody's mind, literally, physically, and in their living rooms.
And all these voting bodies like HFPA, Broadcast Film Critics, etc., we're the ones who see her all the time. She's at every junket. She does all of that. When you open up the voting to the full base of the Academy, and you're talking about the steak eaters, the sound mixers, the people in the Valley, the rest of they don't see Allison. That's a whole separate kind of thing. Yes, the actors branch, but I'm not sure that she has the same advantage among the voter base, Allison Janney, that she had earlier. So that's why I think it may open it up for Laurie Metcalf. That said, I don't have the guts to go with Laurie Metcalf because I think what's compelling about Allison Janney is just she is just pure evil. And they love these devils in the supporting categories.
Right. And I mean, the scene in the diner that she has with Margot at the end of that, I mean, she's just so good, and she is evil, and the character is so specific. The bird, the act, the smoking, the glasses, all of that stuff. I would agree with you. It kind of speaks to the sweet spot of Best Supporting.
Right. So all that said, what do you think of where would the big surprise come if all the front, what's the most possible upset in the top categories?
I think you were right on with the Timothée Chalamet. I think he could upset there. I think we could have upset in the Best Director category.
Really? Oh, with Greta?
Possibly. I mean, are you going to maybe give the movie Shape of Water and then give it to Christopher Nolan? You know how they switch? Because a lot of times it doesn't, you know, historically you always thought it went part and parcel, director, picture, but it might split. That I think could possibly happen. Or would Guillermo get Best Director and then, like you're saying, 3 Billboards get Best Picture?
Yeah, we're seeing splits all the time now because the Academy made a crazy decision to have 2 different voting systems for the top 2 awards, or actually the top award and everything else. And so that has now led to this division that we just automatically.
Yeah. I know now we like it. It's all spread out, right? So I think there could be an upset there for sure. And I think in the female Best Actress, I think there could be. I do think it's a race. Yeah,
so do I. Any final thoughts about the whole Me Too movement and the whole? There is a theme normally we're talking about African Americans and the underrepresentations of Asians and ethnic minorities, and this year it's about gender. It's about all those other things too, but also about gender. And that's got to be a personal thing for you. What's your view of and how it's going to play out at the Oscars?
Well, I think it's interesting that there's such a spotlight on Hollywood right now. This is our, season, as they say, right, with the award shows. And obviously the bright, shiny, recognizable faces are using this moment, and I think wisely, to draw attention to an issue. But I firmly believe that how goes California goes the rest of the country. So if we can clean up our own backyard and show good faith towards getting more equality, getting more women on boards, getting more minorities in the room, getting the pay disparity to, getting that equal, that we will actually have a lasting effect on the rest of the country and other industries. I mean, that's my personal hope, and that's always been my belief. But I think that right now, at the moment, it's really important to draw attention to it. So if you look at these nominations, it seems like it's already helping. I mean, I was surprised and so happy about the obviously Greta getting in there, the recognition of Get Out, just seeing that way, actually people are paying attention, and that might have come from other younger voters coming in, more diverse voters coming in, but I think we're getting there, and I'm interested to see how it's going to be handled during the Oscars. It'll be a really interesting show because I know they're going to have to deal with it, and how that's going to happen, but I'm still hopeful. It's a great night. It should be entertainment, and it should be happy. We should feel good about the industry. So I'm hoping it can all get woven in simultaneously.
Very well said, Krista. That said, update your predictions at Gold Derby. Now that I've talked a lot of your earlier predictions, and don't let me talk you into anything.
I know. It was always great to talk to you, Tom.
Same here. Thanks.